Let's spark this. I'll I'll give the tag at the beginning because I've been messing it up. Welcome to the Judas Plus podcast. Don't let your ears betray you. Get it? Betrayal? Anyway. So what am I drinking right now? Core protein. I had a hard workout. I'm doing German volume training. If you don't know what that is, you know, don't have the time to explain. If you know what it is, then I'm looking to go into straight beast mode, like animal mode. Animal. I'm taking a sip right now. Oh, so we're gonna talk about today. Initially, when I first was thinking about what am I going to talk about today, from Lakewood / Long Beach, California, yay. I was going to talk about economic suppression and how in America we have so many freedoms, but being in a capitalistic country, it's all about the bottom line. So if you have an economical attachment to what you're trying to do, it can be subverted. Thus, economic chokehold. But I decided not to go there. That's another debate for another time. What I want to talk about, because remember, this is just a conversation. Excuse me. I don't look up this information. It's on the fly. I'm in a coffee house, drinking a protein shake, looking into the driveway to Atlantic Avenue. So you can take it serious and fact check, but honestly, I don't need to fact check. I'm pretty on with most of the stuff that I say. So what I want to talk about today is arguments, debate. So just getting straight to the point. Have you ever noticed on a lot of these political sort of / comedy shows, political, or any of these shows, they have a comedian. They have I remember Bill Maher, Politically Incorrect, was one of my favorite shows. It was incredible, man. Like, I was captivated. And the point, I was a comedian at that time. Bill Maher, I do believe, is from New Jersey. I followed him. I've never seen Bill Maher's stand up or Jonathan Stewart stand up. Trevor Noah, the guy from South Africa, Trevor Noah, stand up is pretty good. It's good. Jim Jeffries, I actually believe, sort of had his own talk show. You got the weird black guy for CNN. I don't know. Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, Arsenio Hall, I do believe still to today was one of the best. His Farrakhan episode kind of killed his career. This is LA. The entertainment industry is, what it is. And bringing on an FOI probably didn't help your case. But honestly, Arsenio Hall probably saw the writing on the wall and was like, hey, I'm going out. Let me go out in a blaze of glory. And when he came back for the second Arsenio Hall installation, which happened a few years ago, he was very contrite. But his show failed because different audience. The Arsenio Hall audience, I think back in the day, was just so happy to see a black man on stage. Because honestly, Arsenio Hall's stand-up comedy is average. Just average. He's okay. But he's a great host. He's a fantastic host. So you can be a average comedian, but a superior host. Like Jay Leno. I've never died at Jay Leno's comedy. Nah, it's not. I mean, the art of being a host of a variety show or political satire show or a nightly show is that's a gift in itself. I mean, David Letterman was a stand-up comedy. Please put your hands up if you ever seen David Letterman do stand-up comedy. I haven't. But I personally do know that stand-up comedy is the gateway into the entertainment business. So many people use stand-up to get through the front door. And then they leave stand-up at the front door. Because stand-up is it's hard. That's hard, man. It's art in itself. It's public speaking on lithium. I mean, like you're public speaking, you have to make people laugh every minute for 60 minutes. Anyway, I just want to go into, since I'm saying that, you ever notice, I'll go back to Bill Maher, politically incorrect. Bill Maher would have some of the most intelligent, insightful people in the planet, and he would tear them down if they didn't fit his agenda, which is usually the Hollywood agenda or the progressive agenda. So you would tear them down in a comedic sense, which when you get a comedian and a political scientist on a variety show that's going to air at 12:30 at night, the scientist has no chance. The politician has no chance. The person in that field has no chance. And I was thinking today, I believe that's all done on purpose. Like there's a method to the madness. Nothing's done accidentally. Where you have a comedian grilling a person who is an expert in their field. There was once a quote by Confucius, I believe. It says, when a fool and a wise man argue, from a distance, you can't tell who is who. And I believe that's a popular template for nighttime television. You book somebody, preferably somebody who has a alternative agenda than the popular consensus or the popular liberal consensus, because it's always fun to get a conservative on a show and lambast them with woodliners and tricky innuendos and metaphors, and to see him stumble. He started off like, hey, what do you think about the war in Iraq? And then it's, hey, Doesn't Iraq sound like crack? Break your mother's back? And the political scientist or military general or congressman from Michigan doesn't know how to answer that. So they have a stunned expression and the comedian just goes off. I believe it's the fool theory. It's not good to be a fool. Um, One of the major reasons I should be a stand up comedian for a while, like 12 years, 15 years. But I was never willing to be a fool. I like to tell funny stories, I like to entertain, but I didn't like to be a fool. I'm nobody's fool. Tomfoolery. I believe the fool is actually sort of like what if I must say, a demonic kind of spirit. I mean, you take it as you want. I'm sorry. You might turn it off when I say that. But have you ever noticed when comedians come on stage, certain comedians sort of fit the same physical persona? How do they get to that physical persona? They channel. Well, what are they channeling? Who are they channeling? Where are they channeling from? The bug-eyed uh, voice inflection to almost like an effeminate tone, barely tap dancing on stone on stage, and this goes every ethnic group. I mean, there's not a big difference between Lavelle Crawford and George Lopez. George Lopez bugs his eyes too. Carlos Mencia. You just pick a Def Comedy Jam comedian. It's all sort of the same template. The voice inflection goes real high. The eyes bug real wide. And they just seem like silly. Well, where's that come from? Like they're pulling from the same energy. If you believe in energy. Okay, don't believe in spirits. Okay, I'm sorry I even mentioned spirits. Throw spirits out of the window because it's religious. And I know there's a real anti-religious movement right now. So just throw religious out. I apologize. Energy. There's negative energy, positive energy. Let's just say foolish energy. So everybody pulls from this foolish energy. Like a big pull of foolish energy. And people laugh. It's an easy laugh. It's an easy laugh. Being a stand-up comic for so long, if you go to that pool, you'll get laughs. Because it's dehumanizing. Self-deprecation. And to the point where I wasn't going to lower myself to make you laugh. I'm not a clown. If my stories don't entertain you, if the things I say don't entertain you, fine. I'll gracefully walk off the stage. But I'm not going to go all Al Jolson to make you giggle. No. I.e., last podcast, branding, selling your soul. Selling your soul, I think the masses have it all mixed up. I think they think selling your soul is some kind of just two versions. Number one, the Crossroads, when that famous guitarist came to the devil and the devil bought his soul and he became a great blues guitarist. Ralph Macchio, Crossroads, watch it. So, metaphorically, as we come to that crossroads and the devil buys our soul via a contract. Because I believe the devil probably is the greatest lawyer. Because the devil is a great wordsmith. Not getting religious. Don't turn it off yet. I'm sorry. It's not religious. And the second one is I think everybody think there's a casting couch. You step into a room and the producer just sticks his sexual organ in all your holes and you are now a superstar. No. A lot of times selling your soul is trading in who you are for who they want you to be. Oh, Dave, who is they? They, man. I'm tired of people saying when I say they, well, who is they? Look, man, the entertainment businesses is they. They're templates that must be filled. If you fill a template temporarily or long term, you'll be a success if you can fit it and if you meet the 1,000 other people doing it. The fat, jolly comedian, the short, black, lawn jockey comedian, the skinny, manic, crazy comedian, the angry comedian, the witty comedian. There's templates. The female comedian. Listen, if somebody was going to give you $1 million to air your dirty laundry on stage, would you do it? And you got to remember, that's all people want to hear. Like once you start airing your dirty laundry and people laugh at it or it entertains people, that's all they want to hear. Once you say, no, I'm going to be the dirty laundry comic, they go into political comedian or political comedy, you're done. Political comedy? Nah. We want to hear you say bad stuff about yourself. Talk about your weight. Talk about your nose. Talk about your mother. Talk about your father. Talk about how shitty you look. How fat you are. How dumb you are. How poor you are. That's what they're paying for. You're a freak show. And they want to see a freak. So that's kind of like the hard road of comedy. There's people who tell entertaining stories that are funny, and there's people who are freak shows, self-deprecation selves. But you have to dig in that well and find more shitty stuff about yourself. And once you start to get the money and the fame, you're not that same person. And you try to switch over, and the audience is like, no, I want that. Branding. Slavery. We talked about it in the last thing. When you're a brand, they do not want strawberry Coke. Nobody wants to buy raspberry Coke. They want Coke. Diet Coke. Vanilla Coke. Cherry Coke. If you're Coke and now you're trying to be grape Coke, you're broke Coke. So that's the business, man. Nobody wants to see Vin Diesel do romantic scenes. They want to see Vin Diesel kill. They don't want to see him recite monologues. They want to hear 5-word phrases than an act of violence. Once you understand that, you understand the business. So a fool and a wise man argue. From a distance, you can't tell the fool from the wise man. Okay, so if you listen to my last podcasts. I don't know when this will come, what order. I talked about platform and what a platform is. So you understand the entertainment business, the music business, the mass media businesses still has political agendas behind them. They answer to people. And that person might want somebody assassinated. So everybody thinks assassination comes via JFK style from a grassy knoll book depository. Yeah, that's real romantic, but that's not how it happens nowadays. When they assassinate you now, it's on social media by something they can extract from an hour interview. 30 seconds, that's all they need. So they need somebody to pull that 30 seconds. So, what better than a fool or a clown? Because anybody who's ever talked to somebody foolish or clownish or funny, know if you're not foolish, clowny, or funny, you're at a grave disadvantage. You know? It's like being a soccer player, putting on pads and walking into a football game. If you don't run to the kicker spot, you're in trouble. You're going to get hit. So, they pick like a Trevor Noah, you know. He's not even American. Dude is from South Africa. I mean, I think before a guy like that comments on American politics, they should get the whole South African thing correct. It's very hypocritical to me how they bring like foreign nationals in to tell me how I should think about my government, my country. You're South African. You worry about your government. Because I'm hearing they still got slums in Soweto and, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in South Africa. White farmers are being slaughtered. Still high crime. Still got sort of a quasi apartheid going on. So, who are you to talk about Donald Trump? You handle your own affairs. Africa is really not a stable continent. So why should anybody from America listen to somebody from Africa? Because we kind of got the game going. These countries in Africa seem to have like a revolution every 2 weeks. So Trevor Noah, you should concentrate on your own, what you're doing. But he's going to comment on Trump and our political system because he's the sophisticated Negro, but not too Negro. He's just Negro enough to be accepted. Because if he was any more Negro, he'd be uppity. And nobody wants uppity. So. Or Jim Jeffries. I love Jim Jeffries, but Jim Jeffries is nobody to talk about American politics or anybody. I don't see why they bring all these foreign comedians on and they pit them against Americans. But then I realized the fool versus the wise man. Character assassination. Because Americans think if you have an accent, and this is true, you're smarter already. Oh, he has a British accent, or he sounds so sophisticated. So anytime you have an accent and a calm demeanor, and you go against your average American, in the court of public appeal, you kind of win. There's no accidents, man. This is all scientific. Because why can't D.L. Hughley do the same? Why doesn't Comedy Central hire D.L. Hughley? That's an intelligent dude, man. Intelligent guy, well read, well spoken. But, you know, DL sounds too much like a black guy, a brother. And if you sound much like a brother, you're not going to win any kind of argument because it's just, it's optics, it's audio. It's hard to explain. I wish I could. Like a Van Morrison, I think that's his name. A Van Morrison, that's a powerful weapon. Educated dude, good looking, glasses, and doesn't have an accent, well versed, good vocabulary. So, you know, swimming in deep waters. But so they bring these comedians, they bring these foreign comedians, because you're programmed to think somebody from another country is smarter than you because all Americans are dumb. Basically, we're cowboys. When you think about the USA, we're cowboys. Cowboy hat, jeans, and we like professional sports and barbecues. That's us. So I guess the rest of the world does not look at us as intellectuals. You know? I mean, do you really want a comedian to talk about abortion? Do you really want a comedian to support reparations, or a comedian to talk about domestic violence, or a comedian to talk about economic change or unemployment? Because a comedian's job is to make fun of these things. They're paid for humor. What's fun about abortion? There's nothing funny about it. But if you get somebody who's anti-abortion and you sick a comedian on them, and all of a sudden you make it funny, then you make the pro-lifer seem like a joke. A wise man and a fool argue. From a distance, you can't tell who is who. Because in essence, a comedian is trained to attack hecklers. And a heckler is somebody who's disturbing your act. Take a sip of this protein. I'm getting bigger and bigger. You can't stop me. So when you go on the stage as a comedian, there's two things you have to do. Have an act that's material, that's well crafted, worked on, and hopefully practiced, and crowd work. Crowd work is when you bond with your audience because you have to talk to your audience. Part of crowd work is dealing with hecklers. A heckler is somebody trying to break up your act. And you have to eliminate a heckler right away. Because heckling will become contagious like the whooping cough. And you lose control of the audience. Once you lose control of the audience, it's done. Done. Fort Apache, the Bronx, baby. Alamo, baby. Libya, baby. Your Gaddafi bent over a tank with a bayonet being greased up. Check it. So, one thing as a comedian you learn early is to eliminate hecklers. Eliminate them, destroy them. So when you take a comedian and you take a guest, that guest becomes a heckler. So in your mind, because you have an audience and the audience is laughing at the commentary back and forth. It's like a verbal tennis game. So two people going back and forth. If the guest is getting more laughs than you, guess what, baby? You're not so funny. You must eliminate the heckler. So you go at the heckler, take him down. That guest becomes a heckler. If I'm wrong, listen, if I'm wrong in the comments section, please put a show, the episode that I can watch. But this is the common theme and setup for most talk shows. Why does every talk show have a comedian? Because they're going, especially serious issues. Why would you have a comedian on serious issues unless you're trying to make the serious issue less serious? If you're trying to make a serious issue humorous. I remember Bill Maher cut his throat when he went against the troops in Iraq. He was done. He went too far. He said a joke that was too far. You don't go against the United States military. You don't go against the people who are fighting for this country. If there's anything Americans still even minorly rally around, it's our troops fighting in other countries, because we know that the only reason we're a free country is because we got men and women who will wear camouflage and go to other countries and fight for us. That's the only reason. We have a powerful army. We have a proud people. We have good people in this country. We could talk about the nuances, but I don't want to. We're a good country. We're a powerful country. We're a proactive country. You're not going to attack us. We're going to attack you first. If we see you getting out of line, we think you're a threat, we're going to take you out. And we got people who have signed up for the military service, who volunteered to put their life on the line to kick your ass. Everybody's against America going to Iran. If Iran's a threat, put the boot in their neck. There's no sitting back and waiting, man. Once you wait and you take a defensive approach, you're done. I'm sorry. You have to hit first. Hit hard. You get threat. Somebody gives you a threat. You punch them in their face. The threat's over. We can talk about the industrial war machine. Yeah, but I'm not really ready to get into conspiracy right now. Talk about that later. But all I'm talking about is what makes us a great country is we got men and women of all races, shapes and sizes, sexual orientations, who sign up, put a gun on their back, jump on a plane, and fly to other countries so me and you can go to Starbucks. So me and you can walk up and down these streets safe. So me and you don't have to see our families laid on the ground and lined up, and all the men in our cities killed. War is horrible. Americans are not ready for war. Hopefully, by the grace of God, the war will never touch these shores. So, if it's a difference between enemy forces in Long Beach or us destroying a city in Syria, hey, I'm sorry, Syria. Just how it is. Big bank, take little bank. That's it, baby. So all you anti-Americans, move to Canada. But Canada just got a plane shot down. Whoa. So I guess, it's everywhere. Except 73 Americans died by a missile, guaranteed there's a city in Iran would be missing. That's what makes America and Canada different. And that's why Canadians have to take so long to get into this country, because you have a different mentality than us. That's why you're in Canada in the first place, because you're just different people. Not good, not bad, but you know, it is what it is. So this is how we do. Those 73 Canadians will die and be forgotten about. No action will be taken unless it's by us, proxy for Canada. Sorry, I'm not. Anyway, let's get back to the full. Just a conversation at a coffee house. That's all this is. Got a little heated. I'm gonna take a break, go get some green tea, come back, let you calm down. I'm sorry, I apologize. But I love my country. I love America. All the bad stuff about it I love. I don't want to live anyplace else. It's cool. And it's horrible at the same time, but it's cool. But it's just like if you're on the block and you hear one of your friends comes up to you and talks about, hey man, this dude 3 blocks away said he's gonna come and throw a Molotov cocktail at your house. What are you gonna do? You sit there and wait? Or you gonna go see this dude? I'm gonna see the guy. Hey man, what's up with this Molotov cocktail? Oh man, I was going to, but bop. Threat neutralized. It's in the Bible, baby. Go to the Old Testament, read that. Ain't nothing about the Old Testament soft. Even the New Testament, ain't nothing. I don't want to get all religious because it'll turn people off, because you got a little stuff in you that when I say something like that, you start to get mad, but you have to deal with that. That's a problem. But show me the peaceful elements of the Old Testament. And the big man ordered most of that stuff. The big man was like, look, this is what you need to do. I order you to do it. And if you don't, I'll wait for the next generation to do it. So if you think war is anti-believer, maybe you read from the wrong book. But I'll leave it at that. Pearls to swine. And I don't know who's listening, so a lot of times I don't want to throw the pearls in the mud. But go ahead and pick it up. Read that first 8 or first 9, and you tell me the pacifism in there. There's none. It's always been a hard world. It's always been a cruel world. Because you got to realize who runs the world system. And you wonder. Just study, man. Just study. All you got to do. Easy. Pick it up, read it. Anyway, so comedians and pundits arguing. Okay, so let me just tell you this too. These TV producers on these TV shows, they don't even have to hire comedians. They don't. The worst person to go against is a professional debater. Because let me explain something to you. A professional debater could be wrong, dead wrong, and know they're wrong, and still beat you in your topic of conversation. Because there are communicative devices which are used. For example, I'll show you one. I'm not a professional debater. I've never claimed to be, but I'm pretty good. Okay, for example, you might get into a conversation with somebody and it gets a little heated. Okay. Now, the whole thing is you always want to remain calm. You never want to show emotion. You always want to be peaceful. So say the person that you're talking about, let's say it's abortion, raises their voice. Well, they've just lost. because here's all somebody who knows about debate and the communicative process has to do. Hey man, why are you raising your voice? Now you're on defensive, the personal defensive. Now you're separated from the argument. So for the next like 5, 10 minutes, you have to show me that you're calm. Why you wouldn't raise your voice? Meanwhile, I'm pushing on the fact you raised your voice and I'm still getting my argument across. Because subversively, I'm trying to kill the messenger. Even though you're right, I just have to show you're crazy, or you're emotionally unbalanced, or you're angry. What does that do? That annihilates your whole argument because I've killed the messenger. Debate is a skill, and many people think debate is about who's right or wrong. No, that's very simple. That's like saying football is about throwing a ball. No. There are many nuances, many idiosyncrasies that go in the conversation and quote unquote debate. For example, on religious matters, you're not supposed to debate. It says it in the Bible, it says it in the book. The big man in heaven doesn't need you to argue. He never did. The big JC never argued. He laid down a fact. The Pharisees would come at him and he would lay down a fact and shut them up. The big JC had his own disciples, his boys question him. He goes straight for the Torah. That's what that says. That's what this says. What do you think about that? Putting the pressure back on them. He never debated. He just was a strong communicator. Put down facts. And it was such a good orator that he would know his audience wasn't that bright. So he would tell stories to the Pharisees. He'd just come straight at the Pharisees. Hey man, this is what the Torah says. So what's up? But to the common people, he would tell them stories, metaphors. The big JC was a genius, man, but he was God, so of course he was a genius. You know? But he didn't debate. You're not supposed to debate. If you get drawn into a debate, it's a sin. Honestly, you're not supposed to debate. You're not even supposed to talk to non-believers about secular things. You're only supposed to reprove and rebuke other believers. That's it. So if you're out there debating the Bible or the Word or the Ten Commandments, you're an idiot. You're a fool. You're like the talk show host. You're not supposed to. The big man in the sky don't need you. When he wants somebody to come and speak for him, he'll pick one person, tell that person what to say, and that's it. And here's another thing I just want to get across to you. The simpler the phrase, or the simpler the message, the more honest the message. When people have to use $10 words, or they can use a simple sentence, they're trying to manipulate you. And manipulation is the enemy. You see, we're so conditioned to think just because somebody is pretty and has a nice voice, smiles, and says everything that you want to hear, that they're a good person. Wrong. Wrong. Most of those messages in the book, and if you know the book, you know the book I'm talking about, were direct, in your face, and abrupt. There was no, oh, sweetie, thou shalt not kill. Oh, it's a good idea not to steal. Oh, why? Well, maybe you shouldn't covet thy neighbor's wife. No, dog. It's very straight and to the point. I'm sorry. It's us who want to convolute it and make it complex so we can find the loophole to do our own dirty do, including myself. Including myself. But everything's there, man. So when somebody comes using $15, $20 words, when they could use a simple sentence, you don't gotta think, what are they saying? You have to start thinking, what is their agenda for you? I have more notes. Let me look here. Faith-based people, supposed, or like politicians, $10 words. Politicians are, listen, with politicians, when you study them speaking, you have to really, when a question's asked of them, you have to really analyze how they answered the question, and that will tell you about the politician. Like Andrew Yang, I watched them grill him. They asked him a question. He didn't answer the question. He went in a roundabout way to avoid the question. Okay? It's very simple. If you have the answers, you answer it. If you're telling a story to avoid the question, then you're a liar. Then you're a con man, you're a charlatan, and you have an agenda. You know? What's your agenda? If you're not going to answer a certain question, then that's your agenda. So when a politician avoids a question, that's their agenda, plain and simple. If somebody asks them a question about insurance and universal health care, and they avoid that question, they're not for universal health care. Not seriously. If a question is asked about the war and they avoid that question, then the war is not a top priority until it's necessary. I mean, Barack Obama was good for that. Look, I don't want to get into politics and religion. You know, it's too easy to draw some of you puppies into that. You got so many people who are minor league thinkers but want to have major league conversations. Swines and pearls. I don't even want to throw these pearls to you. Oh my gosh. Anyway, look at my notes. Any more? Big man, bigger the word, the bigger. Oh, the bigger the word, the bigger the agenda. Just to let you think of that. And in my fraternity that I pledged, there was a 12 steps. Not 12 steps, but 12 sort of rules. I think number 2 was dignity of simplicity. Simplicity is the best. When it's too complex or convoluted, you're getting away from the main point, and that's manipulation. You know, why are you trying to manipulate people? If you want to know something, just ask them a straight answer. I was telling my daughter about that today. Why are you telling me roundabout stories about Pockies? If you want Pockies, just ask me for Pockies. But you're telling me a story about Pockies being at a mall where I live, and so you're trying to manipulate me. Just ask me for Pockies, and I'll buy them for you if I can. If I can't, then I won't. I might not have the money. Your behavior might not be Pocky worthy. But she's a good girl, so I'll get her Pockies. But she just had to say, Daddy, can you give me Pockies? When we start to beat around the bush, it's manipulation. It's not good for anybody. Okay, let's see what else up here. Like I said, for example, the big man in heaven don't need you to argue for him. Through history, it's proven. He'll just pick somebody, talk to somebody, and tell them, hey, tell them this. Ezekiel, tell them this. Daniel, tell them this. John, tell them this. That's it. He don't need you to argue. He just needs you to live by what you're supposed to and not fall so easily into the trap set for you. You're not supposed to argue. You're not supposed to judge. You're supposed to remain humble. You're supposed to remain meek. Well, you know what will destroy all that? Debate. You're not supposed to debate. But if you get into a debate with a skilled debater whose only agenda is to make you look bad, and sometimes, I'm sorry, some people who engage in debate are not about the topic, they're about assassinating you, and you fall into those traps. You get drawn into judgment. You get drawn into argument. You cast your humility aside, throw your meekness away, and maybe you might get violent and take a swing or curse. So who wins? Exactly. You debate, man, you got to be skilled. You got your average uneducated minnow out there trying to defend abortion rights for everybody, or apartheid, or you got your person who didn't graduate high school trying to say why there should be reparations, or you got somebody who just got out of prison talking about a one world government. Yeah, dog. You may have watched YouTube or read a few pamphlets or been to the library a few times or got some books while you were sitting 23 in a cell, and you may have the knowledge, but can you deliver that knowledge? It's different. Being a messenger is hard because it's more about the message and not about you. But somebody can make it about you quickly, and then the message is destroyed, or the message is for naught, because you were not the person intended to deliver the message. You know? Think about that. Take another sip of this protein. Anyway, that's just some thoughts that came into my head, man. But, it's just a conversation. That's all it is. Go to a coffee shop in Bixby knows. You got a cafe latte. I got a green tea latte. I decided to be a little spoiled and splurge. We're outside. This 3 o'clock sun is hitting us. The old ladies are in the corner playing cards. The old men are talking about Long Beach before all the brown people moved in. It's a nice day. It's beautiful. If you've never been to Bixby Knolls, you need to come to Bixby Knolls. It's a nice place. Anyway, that's all I need to say today. I'm gonna end it. It's been cool. You know, you can listen to me or not, but go ahead and leave a message for me if you want. And I hope this touches the